All right, welcome in another Tuesday evening, the Questionable Podcast. You got Scotty Questions here with Miko.
What's good, man?
And Gian.
Hello, hello.
How you doing today over the West Coast, Gian?
Doing great.
Okay. Miko, how are you today?
I'm good, man.
All right. Well, we got a lot to cover today. Lots of news happening in the NFL. But first, we want to give a shout out to all the women in our lives and the women across the globe. It's International Women's Day today. So shout out to my moms, my wife, my daughter, and all the women in my life. And we also want to continue to give our prayers to Ukraine and everybody struggling right now overseas. It's hard. It's just hard to watch. So again, prayers out to everybody there. And if anybody can do anything, please try to donate where you can and help where you can. And so having covered that, okay, we're gonna hop back into it. Like I said, a lot to cover today. We're gonna recap the NFL Draft Combine. We're gonna briefly touch on the Red Wings' latest overview of moves. Yzerman's making a couple moves. The losses are piling up. Like we talked about last week, there's a game tonight that played the Coyotes. Also, we're going to touch Pistons win 3 in a row for the first time in 3 years. So
not pretty.
No. The free agency moves today and some more coming. Russell Wilson was traded to Denver for 2 firsts, 2 second-round picks, a 5th-round pick, QB Drew Lock, DL Shelby Harris, and tight end Noah Fant. That was a surprising one.
Yeah.
I didn't think that they would deal Noah, but they did. And the Lions re-signed wide receiver Josh Reynolds 2 years for $12 million. So the wide receiver room is not that empty.
No,
so
we got a couple bodies.
And potentially, hopefully, we grab some of the draft or free agency still here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the top wide receiver free agents have been tagged, right? The only ones left are Allen Robinson. No, thank you. Christian Kirk, DJ Chark, Amari Cooper. Those are the ones that potentially, could end up in Detroit. A lot of people are talking about Christian Kirk. I don't know. We're probably not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Rodgers and everything else going on today. But quick hits on the Red Wings. Red Wings quick hits here. The Wings picked up Ali Ulevi off waivers from the Florida Panthers. Panthers are the top team in the NHL right now. Ulevi he is a defenseman, which we need.
Yeah. And
he was drafted 5th overall a couple years ago in a big draft when Austin Matthews and these really, really, really good players came out. So again, to me, this is Yzerman making a smart play. Younger defenseman. And, he should be a solid addition for now. And unfortunately, Danny DeKeyser, he was waived, but he cleared waivers. And he's now on IR for us. And Veleno was moved down to the Grand Rapids Griffins for roster space. And Jacob Vrana returns Tuesday, which is today. So I think he did return today, or he's going to this week. So with the Wings, quickly on that, we have not looked good. The defense, like we talked about, not great. Yzerman, like he said, like I just said, this pickup from the Panthers, I think Ali should be a good addition, but we have a lot of work to do in the offseason for the with our defense. So we have about 15 games left, and I don't think we'll make the playoffs. We have a chance for the second wild card spot, but I don't think it's happening. We have to make a run, and we have to kind of win out.
Yeah.
I don't think it's happening.
Oh, no, that's not based on tonight's game.
Nope. So, but anyway, having said that, the Wings overall season, right? We got a little excited, very exciting, for us to get teased to maybe make the playoffs, but we are, in my opinion, right on schedule for the rebuild.
Yeah.
I think people got their hopes up a little bit, like, oh my gosh, we're going to be good. Not yet. We still got a couple more years, but we are heading the right direction, right? So Wings first, good on them. Now it's the Lions' turn. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So in talking about that, let's move on to the NFL and the reaction to Aaron Rodgers staying with the Packers. Right now, it is not official, and this number will change. But right now, 4 years, $200 million, not the official deal.
Yeah, it was what was reported by Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network. But from what I understand, Pat McAfee was the one who broke the news that Aaron Rodgers would be saying, and then Ian Rappaport came out later, like 3 minutes later, with this
numbers
and
that are not true.
Yes, according to
Aaron Rodgers.
According to Aaron Rodgers, yeah, I was gonna say according from the man himself, that number is not true. So it caused a little bit of an uproar, I would say. I think I even had a reaction to it initially where it was just like, oh, so this was about the money. Like if that number was true, that was I think that was a fair reaction to have. Was like, so this was really all about money the entire
at
time.
The end of the day.
Yeah. So I don't know, hearing that the number that's not the number has caused me to at least take a step back and at least wait to hear what the actual number is. But I know at least one person on this show was a little more passionate about the news.
Who might that be?
Who is that?
Could it be this guy? Could it be the Hurricane?
The Gian, who was right last week, but I want everybody to know, for those that aren't watching on YouTube, I was going to put a question mark. Gian was right, maybe?
But I was right. And so right. True to his word, Scott is
did it,
very, yeah.
I got the shirt on.
Man of his word.
Hopefully it's the last time I'm wearing it. Scott is right. Next time Scotty's right. Miko. Anyway, we got to make you guys your shirts. So anyway, having said that, yeah. So John.
Yeah. So John,
what were you right about?
Yeah. Well, I want to give John his. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Hello. I was right about the push-ups last week. That's
correct.
Yeah.
I was trying to tee up John for his Aaron Rodgers take. So.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, I think so. It's gonna take a year to know if I'm right or not, and I think that's one thing that I think, after paying closer attention to these sports, and that I think we're just going to have to, or I'm going to have to accept. I think we really get caught up in these narratives that emerge, like Kyle Hamilton, for instance, or Taylor Decker. Should we trade Taylor Decker because Penei Sewell is killing it at left tackle? And that became a narrative for a couple weeks, and we just need to take a step back and then kind of reassess seasons as they go. I think that's one of the reasons why I really like the fact that we're once a week, because we don't really get caught up in that stuff as much as people who just need to create
in the minutia,
create content, every single day. That said,
could do it though. We would be great at it.
We would just be commenting on other people's comments. It would just devolve into that. I think.
What?
Nah, I think we would just I think what would happen is that we would end up having to backtrack a lot of things, because we would do what everybody else does, which is brashly react to things, and then have to backpedal it when finding out more information about a situation like this, right? Like I said, I'm guilty of it. I saw the number and I was like, that seems like somebody being a little greedy.
Yeah, well, so I foregrounded that by saying, or so that I could go with, I think this deal is only going to be able to be judged whether or not they win the Super Bowl next season, regardless of its 200 million or 100, because the number I heard is 153 guaranteed. Whether or not that number is accurate, it kind of sounds like it's not. It's going to be in that ballpark.
It's going to be a big contract, yeah.
Yeah, for 4 years for a 40-year-old man, which I think Tom Brady really kind of messed people up in terms of what over 40-year-old quarterbacks are capable of.
He messed us up.
I think he was a unicorn in a way that I think people are like, oh yeah, no, you can totally be a quarterback in your mid 40s and still be good. I don't think many people are going to be able to live up to that. That said, I think, yeah, we're only going to be able to judge this deal as to whether or not they win the Super Bowl next year. Because to me, this seems like the Packers are doing what the Rams did last year. They are going all in. Now, the cap hit, again, if the number isn't right, there's good reason to believe that all the other details are not right. But the details as they stand right now, the cap hit is not as bad as it seems at first. They are using the extension to move money to later years. So in terms of cap space, the Packers probably will be okay for the next year, maybe 2 years. That said, they are still $30 million over the cap for next year without Davante Adams on the books. They just franchise tagged him, so they're going to have to pay him. They're going to have to move a lot of pieces around. Now, that said,
how much are they paying him right now? Was it 20?
Davante Adams?
Yes. What was it?
So
I don't know.
If I remember correctly,
Mike Williams. What did Williams get today? Didn't Williams get like
he got
50?
He got 60 mil, I think, guaranteed or something like that.
Yeah, so they're going to have to do something to match that. In my opinion, I think that they're going to try and have to get him there. I'm just trying to get perspective for everybody, right?
Mike Williams got 3 years, 60 million. Yes.
Okay. So
roughly 20 million a year. Right. So roughly you're looking at paying Davante Adams north of 20 million a year, which was
now
expected.
It's only 15 for the franchise tag.
Right. Which is why you tag him and you work out the minutia of a longer term deal the rest of the season. Yes.
Which I'm assuming comes off of Rodgers' check, maybe like that.
So, and I think that's the thing. So to John's point about how they're going to try to maneuver this money.
Yeah.
There's signing bonuses. There's like you're saying, like he's saying, pushing the contract out more and backloading the contract so that maybe in year 3 and 4, he's paid more than he is in year 1 and 2 of this deal. But then you also have still like John said, the issue of they're still 30 million over the cap. So yes, some guys are going to get cut. You're going to either cut some guys or you're going to hope that guys are willing to do something that's very rare in the NFL, is that they take a pay cut to basically go all in, like John is saying, and basically push all the chips to the center of the table and say, okay, we're going to make it one final run at this, and I will take a considerable pay cut to try and make this work.
Now, last question off topic. Do you think Aaron Rodgers didn't like, because like you said, Mika, when you saw the number, 200 over 200, like it was just about the money. Do you think Aaron Rodgers didn't like that and was like, no, this isn't signed. This is not really the numbers.
I absolutely do. And this is so.
And John, this is a question of both of you, but
yeah, I'll go first on this one. So this is something that like I feel like I'm probably in the minority of this, and I get it because a lot of people are just sick of Aaron Rodgers and they're sick of the drama that has been Aaron Rodgers for this past NFL season. So when I first saw 200 million, like I said, I thought like, wow, like it's a little bit of greed. He's being greedy. However, just because I thought he was being greedy does not mean that I don't think he's worth that money.
Get it?
Like dude just won MVP back-to-back years, and they've gone 13-3 in back-to-back years. That's the cost of doing business. Like, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, you don't pay that man that. No, he is single-handedly the reason that you went 13-3.
Right.
Regardless of anything else. He's also the reason why you haven't advanced to the Super Bowl.
So there's that.
Yep.
Gian.
Yep.
But this is the gamble that they gambled a couple years ago when they tried to get Jordan Love, and you lost. Well, and this is what the loss. This is the cost of losing that bet. Because if you hit on that bet, this deal never happens.
Correct.
Right.
You lost the bet. You have to pay the cost of doing that business.
Paying the piper.
So I understand why Aaron Rodgers would come out, because he did. He had publicly already went out and said, and most of his complaints were about them not putting the best team possible around him.
Right.
Like everybody was saying, the reason this seemed like a contradictory, because it's like, well, if you can't say that and then take this much money.
Exactly.
So I absolutely understand why he would then come out and say,
whoa.
Hey, everybody, that's not true.
Not signed yet. This is not the real number.
Right. So some people are annoyed by that, but you also got to remember, he wasn't the one that tweeted out the number.
Ian Rappaport did it.
Right. So if you're frustrated that there's still a little bit of drama, it's not his fault.
And side note to this is off topic, but on topic. In other news that is incorrect, all of those 40-yard dash times were off by like what, 0.1
0.1, I think 1/10 of it. Yeah,
which is absurd. So everything they're showing on TV and people are tweeting and all this stuff goes out.
Yeah, I mean,
not the official times. What is going on right now?
We can get
not
to
the
that.
Official times, not the real number. But at the end of the day, right? Everybody who's walking by the TV, like, oh, Aaron's getting 200 mil, whatever.
Yeah,
and people can feel one way about it or another way about it or don't care. But that's the number people are going to remember. That's it. No matter, even if they change it, they'll just be like, oh, it's similar. It's same. They just moved the money around.
Well, that's the problem, right?
Do you think this is the Green Bay Packers get back at him? Like a little bit, like, okay, we're going to pay you, but like, we're going to make you look like a jerk.
Yeah, so McAfee said something similar.
He did
in his clip where they were breaking down like the fake number, and he was just like about the latter part of Ian Rappaport's tweet was worded some sort of way of like sources in Green Bay or coming out of Green Bay, and
source says,
and so they
shout out to Pat McAfee.
So they were kind of like, maybe Green Bay is the one. Maybe there's somebody in Green Bay that like leaked that number, because maybe that number was thrown out there.
Well, I'm sure,
right? Like that number isn't just like Ian.
It's probably the offer, and it probably was adjusted, and it's probably not signed yet. But what I'm saying, which I didn't hear today, was this Green Bay's like leaking it, their get back. I didn't hear him. McAfee said that.
Yeah, he speculated, right?
Oh, okay.
Like,
well, yeah, that's what we're doing. I mean, that's what I'm doing too.
Yeah, no,
because I don't know.
Yeah, he kind of speculated that like, hey, this could be like for that number to come out,
right?
And it be something that Ian Rappaport, who makes a living breaking NFL news, it had to come from somebody that he trusted. And for it to come out that quickly, you could assume that maybe it was somebody in the Green Bay Packers organization.
Okay, Gian.
So I'm so glad.
Okay,
excuse me.
Yeah, my throat.
Phlegm in my throat. I'm so glad. I'm so glad Miko brought up Jordan Love. I only bring all of this up to bring it back to compare to the Lions, right? Like that's ultimately our goal. That's what we do here. That's what we like to do on this show, is we always like to bring everything back to Detroit sports. And what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are trying to do, as they've said over and over, establish a culture and establish a team that is going to last. And I think with that in mind, going back and looking at, I sent a text earlier. I said, the Packers are the new Lions. And it created some controversy, but I'm going to attempt to justify that tweet right now, or for the rest of the show. Maybe it might take that long. So Jordan Love pick, as Miko already hinted, was already a bad pick. Turning around and then paying Rodgers $200 million or $150, whatever it's going to be, makes that even worse, because by the time Aaron Rodgers' new contract is up, Jordan Love's rookie contract will expire. So you no longer have that guy. So you're either going to have to draft another quarterback to replace Jordan Love, because I mean, I'm sure you're going to try and trade him, but because you've been playing Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love isn't getting any playing time. So he's still an unknown quantity. So he's not going to be the trade haul that you're probably hoping for.
I think you keep him as a backup.
Okay.
Trying to make a run. You got to keep, I mean, I wouldn't.
Sure.
Unless you're going to trade for like an Andy Dalton.
For Sam Darnold.
Right.
So another thing Miko hinted on is that that Aaron Rodgers has been very vocal about the Packers as an organization not being all in. And then after basically like kind of throwing a bit of a tantrum about that, the contract you get ultimately hamstrings your organization's ability to build the pieces around you. Let's see. This is, like I said, they're not in cap hell yet. But they absolutely just put a hard limit on how long they have to be successful. What they're going to pay Rodgers is going to be roughly 3 to 6 free agent signings worth of money. I think all of this goes back to, again, what Brad Holmes is trying to do. Is paying Aaron Rodgers this amount of money the best way for the Packers as an organization to have success? This man who has not won an NFC championship in 10 years. This man who has not won a Super Bowl in a decade. This man who was back-to-back MVPs, as we said at the start of the show, but then still couldn't get it done in the playoffs. Can we look back at their playoff performance and say, yes, the problem was Aaron Rodgers didn't have enough money, or the game solely came down to the play of Aaron Rodgers? A lot of people blame special teams for their loss against the 49ers. Paying Aaron Rodgers more money is not going to help the special teams. It's going to hamstring our ability to add to special teams, to make a better special teams unit. And I think that is why I think Packers being the new Lions work sort of maybe in a very similar situation just this past off season. Matt Stafford did not want to stay for a second rebuild. He wanted to go. He wanted to be traded. The front office did right by him by sending him to a place where he wanted to go. They got 2 firsts and a third and Jared Goff for him to set up their build for the future. Old Lions, I can definitely see early 2000s Lions being like, no, we're just going to put a dump truck full of money at Matt Stafford's feet and have him stay here, and then scratch our heads in 3 years and wonder why we're still at the bottom of the NFC North. And I feel like the Packers, this is a very mid 2000s Lions-esque move here, as they can field Rodgers and they can field Adams, but in order who they're going to have to cut to make sure that happens, I don't know. Like I said, they're not in cap hell next year, maybe not even the year after, but they just absolutely put a hard limit on how long they have to be successful with the exact same pieces that they couldn't get it done with the last 2 seasons when he went MVP back to back. So like, I don't get this. Like, I absolutely do not get this.
All right, and so like I said in our group text, I wanted to let you.
I love that. So the Packers are the new Lions. Gian Hendricks, you've heard it here first.
And I let John get that all out so that I can therefore say
he's writing the op-ed tonight as we speak. We're gonna post it
so that I can therefore say that is straight hyperbole. It's the most hyperbolic statement that you can make about the Packers at this moment, because the reason why this is not anywhere close to similar to the Lions never went back-to-back 13-3. Never. They were never. Matt Stafford, as great as he was, as well as he performed at times, was never a 2-time MVP in back-to-back years. A 4-time MVP, actually, I think in total, but back-to-back in 2 recent years. So I agree. I'm not saying that this was a smart move. I'm not saying that it's the move that I would have done. If I would have called Aaron Rodgers bluff, I believe the Packers probably should have called Aaron Rodgers bluff to see if he was actually going to retire. But you didn't. And like I said earlier, this is the cost of doing business. This is all a gamble. As an NFL franchise who is looking to win a Super Bowl, the Rams did the exact same thing. It just so happened that it hit. They went all in on Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, who's 33 years old. Aaron Rodgers is 40.
And guess what? He won back-to-back MVPs. He's not his talent. He is still a top-tier talent quarterback. He is still arguably
he's a bad man, as Stephen A says.
He is in the regular season.
Well, correct.
Right. So is Patrick Mahomes in the regular season. So is Josh Allen in the regular season. You can at this point, the Packers had 2 decisions. And again, they already gambled once. So again, you're just going to continue to roll this dice. And however you choose to roll it, it's a gamble either way. You could gamble that you know what? He's not going to retire. We're going to trade him and we're going to get just as good value back from him because we don't think he has it anymore, even though that would be a really bad gamble to make. The dude just won back-to-back MVPs and was clearly the best player in the NFL. Like, it wasn't like, oh, well, certain players were hurt or certain players. Like, no. It was clear cut Aaron Rodgers was the best at 40 years old. So this is the other thing where it's not fair to compare him to Tom Brady, because Tom Brady never really had the physical tools that Aaron Rodgers has. Tom Brady proved at 40 is that, guess what? I can still win, but I need all the pieces around me. So guess what Aaron Rodgers is now saying? I can still win. You have to invest around me. So I do not blame the Packers for basically, out of these two choices that they had, they decided, you know what, we can trade them and try and restart, or we can go all in one more time, gamble it all again, and see if it hits this time. Let's actually...
That's their only decision. It was their only play. I mean, they give up Aaron Rodgers. You're not doing anything. It's a full rebuild.
It's full rebuild.
So, I mean, they had to keep him. Now,
and there's no guarantee that you rebuild this well.
I believe that a real Lions move would have been dealing him. That's like...
I mean, I think it would have been dealing him and then not getting nearly as much
getting
back.
Nothing back.
But getting nothing back. That's the other thing. That's why I'm glad this the Russell Wilson news broke today. What was the haul for Russell Wilson?
Oh my gosh, it was
2 firsts.
The Broncos won that trade for sure.
You think Broncos did?
I do. I believe so. I think the Broncos will be really good. I have 2 buddies in Denver that are like we're back. I'm pulling out my jersey out of the fireplace.
I think. Well, in all honesty,
they're used. I mean, they have had 11 quarterbacks since Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
11 different quarterbacks since Peyton Manning,
and you at least have like a top 10 one.
Russell Wilson, who's still semi-healthy. Hand injuries, but his knees, his shoulders, he's fairly healthy.
Yeah,
you have to protect him.
So wait,
and Von Miller may be coming back. He's tweeting out that he's like, "Say my locker." Like, he's just won a Super Bowl. Like, I'm out. Like, I'm coming home.
So what did Seattle get?
So they got 2 firsts. I got it right here. They got 2 first picks, or 2 first rounders, 2 second rounders, 1 fifth rounder, and they got 3 players. The 3 players are QB Drew Lock. So Seattle will be rolling with Drew Lock.
Stopgap quarterback.
Good luck with that. DL Shelby Harris. I don't know much about Shelby Harris.
Hopefully he contributes.
And Noah Fant.
And then you maybe have a premier tight end. Maybe. Because Noah Fant hasn't necessarily blown.
No, he's
right, but he was highly touted. So my question to you guys, who in 5 years, who do you think has the better next 5 years? Seattle or Green Bay?
Russell Wilson.
Seattle or Green Bay?
Denver.
Seattle or Green Bay?
Denver.
Like, who would you rather be a fan of right now, knowing that Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams are coming back when you're already $30 million over the cap, or Seattle, who just got 2 firsts, 2
Why are we
thirds,
comparing to Seattle? Why are we comparing to Seattle though?
Because we're talking about deals.
Oh,
because Seattle made a deal and Green Bay didn't.
Seattle is going to. I mean, they don't have a quarterback.
I would say
Drew Lock.
Well, this is what I
right.
would say.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, next year, what are they going to do? What are the Lions going to do with Jared Goff next year? Probably.
At least you got Jared Goff. Like, you got Drew Lock, and Drew Lock couldn't start in Denver.
Right. I think Jared Goff is better than Drew Lock. He's not better than a lot of people, but he's better than Drew Lock.
Yeah.
But we just said stopgap quarterback. Okay, so they're probably not going to be very good, and then next year. Maybe they use some of those picks and move up and get a quarterback.
Yeah, they're going to have to. Yes, correct.
Whose outlook do you think is better in the 5 year like 5 years from now? Whose outlook, Seattle or Green Bay?
5 years from now, it's obviously Seattle. But if we're looking at you just asked who I would rather be a fan of.
Green Bay.
Green Bay in the next 2 years, because at least I know, okay, we're going all in. We're going all in.
It's time for the run or not. It's Super Bowl or fail.
Bust.
Yeah.
And at least
fail. What am I talking about? Super Bowl or fail.
Super Bowl or bust. But that's all this deal sets up with the Packers, is that it confirms they are going all in.
Sure. Right. Okay. That's totally fair. But you're going all in with the same squad that couldn't get it done the last 2 years when Aaron Rodgers was playing at MVP caliber.
Squad goals.
And again, even lesser, because you're probably going to have to shed some guys on defense, and your defense was really good. So Like the Lions in like week 2 with car crash soundbite version of Jared Goff. There it is. And bad play calling. We were still up on the Packers at halftime. We beat the Pack. We were up on the Packers starters and Aaron Rodgers week 17. Like, and you're telling me that you're going to go all in with this exact same squad?
If you told me that exact same squad went 13-3 back-to-back years, yes. Like, I'm sorry. Like, those are the facts. You can sit here and hope that they're going to be bad or assume, but right now, what we have as facts is that Aaron Rodgers is a two-time MVP, and they've gone. He just can't win.
He just can't win in the playoffs, and
and you have to make those adjustments. Well, this past one was the more embarrassing one. This loss to the 49ers was more embarrassing because he couldn't score. The year before that, they were at least putting up points. He played well. That defense probably didn't play well because they gave up 30, right? 49ers ran all over them. So there's a little bit of like give and take here, and you have to hope that you're tweaking things just enough. And like I said, you're maybe hoping that a couple guys take a deal. You're hoping that you can maybe get some free agents because you are now officially all in. You're hoping that guys will latch on and be like, you know what? I want to be Von Miller. I want to be OBJ, and I'm just going to latch on for a 1-year deal and try and get a Super Bowl ring with Aaron Rodgers. Because you at least know with Aaron Rodgers, you're potentially going to go 13-3.
I will say, and that's why I kind of started this whole thing with, we won't know if this deal was good or not until the end of next season.
We won't. Well, yeah, we won't know if it cashes in, right?
Right.
If it cashes in next year and they go and they win the Super Bowl, you did what the Rams did.
I think you have 2 years to do it.
We can have, we can have like quick reaction opinions, but I think, we won't know. We won't actually know until probably, 2 years. Pin it.
Personally, I think that this takes a little bit of pressure off of Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, a little bit. Knowing that Aaron Rodgers is still there, we don't have to rush and get a quarterback, and like we can continue to build the team up, and knowing that they got what 3 years. That'll put so in 3 years, Dan Campbell will be in his 5th year, fourth year. Yeah. So then they still had and if they can get rolling at the end of end of Aaron Rodgers' time, in Green Bay, to me, it gives us a minute to like build the team up and then compete with that team. And then once we can beat Green Bay, and that's like, okay, we're the better team. To me, that's a little bit of the torch handoff. Okay, our turn. Get out of the way.
Yeah.
And hopefully these guys can do it. I mean, like we've said.
To that.
So
because I definitely agree with, I
want to keep moving on.
I agree with that. So I want to say like, so that leads, I think that leads to, who do you got it to?
Well, before we jump to that, I also want to say
before we do that, please.
All I want to say
our
is
sponsors.
Please join, like, and subscribe to the Question Podcast on all platforms.
Definitely do that.
I forgot to say that in the beginning because it's International Women's Day, but that was more important. And then I forgot.
But what I do want to say before we jump into draft talk is I hate that John made me defend the Packers here. Like
that's amazing. So in the end, disgusting. John wins now. So he got you to do that.
No. John loses because he was dead wrong. Like that.
No, I get it, but he won in the end.
We won't know if I'm wrong until 2 seasons.
I at least proved that
he
statement was hyperbolic
by getting you to defend the Packers. That's how he won.
Yeah, but the only problem is I did it so well.
Oh God, we go.
That's like
okay. Moving on.
Moving on.
All right.
I'll let it go. Bonus content.
But BC?
Yeah, but we'll do
B-Sizzle?
Who do you have? Who do you guys have it to? Because we did have the draft combine this week. We got to see everything. I didn't get to watch it live. I watched everything back though, like within the last couple of days.
Yeah. It's still boring.
How do we feel about the Hutchinson Thibodeaux conversation? I mean, we finally got to see them both somewhat on the field together.
Thibodeaux.
Any impressions from what you guys read, from what you guys saw?
I was not as impressed with Hutchinson as I thought I was going to be. I mean, solid, not surprising.
Yeah.
Thibs, solid, not like didn't
I mean, he benched and ran the 40. Like,
right. He didn't do anything and bounced, and we'll see his pro day.
Yeah.
For the record, didn't he put up more reps on the bench press than any other DE at the combine?
He did. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No. He showed out. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Like, yeah. Like, it wasn't.
I think that's more than solid.
It wasn't like a unicorn like Jordan Davis.
Right.
That was
like, that's what I mean. And that's what I'm here for, you know? But I still don't know that he's the guy we should pick. You know, I think Miko had a good point. I think he sent a text about the recency bias. Right.
Oh, with Jordan Davis?
Well, Jordan Davis recency bias and Thibs like being the top guy for so long and critiquing everything now, and like he's still probably the guy you take. Right?
I mean, he's still the guy that I would take.
I still think that I think Aiden goes. I really never been a fan of Aiden Hutchinson, and then like, you know, short arms or whatever, like it is what it is.
Yeah, that was a knock on Aiden this past week.
You know, short arms, tiny hands, like guy, like they have nothing else to pick on. They're just gonna do that. Like, I still don't think that these guys are like you know, like Thibs is not like a Bosa. Like, I don't think they're that good.
No, I mean, what?
Even from the
Aiden Hutchinson was being compared to Jared Allen.
I don't think so.
Right. And so, I mean, for me, yeah, nothing was like necessarily definitive. Like, nothing changed my mind. Nothing that I saw this past weekend drastically changed my mind one way or the other. Right.
About Hutchinson and Thibodeaux, or just in general?
Yeah. No, those two specifically. When it comes to the Lions at 2, because I've been Team Thibodeaux this whole time.
Team Tibbs.
Like, nothing that I saw changed me or swayed me one way or the other. I feel like I'm still like, okay, I was proven right in that. Okay, I knew Aiden Hutchinson was going to run slower.
Miko was right.
I'm saying in my thought process, I thought Aiden Hutchinson would run slower than Kayvon Thibodeaux. He did. I thought Thibodeaux would run like somewhere around the 4.6, 4.5. He ran basically that.
How did you know that?
Yeah, you know, watch enough combines.
Student of the game.
Watch enough combines and you start to project
Miko.
stuff. But I mean, and then they both interviewed really well. And so the only thing that happened that was like a little bit of a head scratcher and in the moment was finding out that Kayvon didn't do the other drills after saying that he was going to do the drills.
He just left.
He ran his 40s. And then, yeah, he basically like suited up and was like, I'm going to watch everything and do everything at my pro day.
So what you're really trying to say is,
I mean, I think it was. So
are you going to get to that point later?
I wanted to give you guys a chance to respond before I.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go through a response
of like, how did you guys feel
then
about...
Miko has a drop for us.
I have a conspiracy theory.
And it's very interesting.
But how did you guys...
It's intriguing.
Listeners, I do not know what this is. I will be learning.
Yes,
with you.
So we will zoom in on John's face the entire time on YouTube,
just to see if you like.
For those that don't know, now you know.
No, I did not watch the combine, but I like with Miguel, I watched.
You read a lot about it.
Yes, I didn't watch it live. I didn't watch it live.
Please qualify yourself here. Like, I didn't watch anything.
I didn't do my homework. No,
I'm just talking.
I'm going to talk about stuff I don't know. Yeah, no. I was sort of ambivalent as to who they took. It really seemed like the discussion was about prospect, like this term came up in a thread that I was reading, at prospect fatigue, when the same person has been the top prospect for long enough. We need, like, the media needs to find a narrative as to why they aren't, or
that's what I was touching on a second ago.
Or Thibodeaux, that was his work ethic. For Hutchinson, that was his athleticism. And so, because they need to have a narrative that push paper, and because you can't just say the same thing about the same people for weeks. That said, I think I am. Trayvon Walker really jumped up in my book, but I still think I am on Team Thibodeaux. I watched a little bit of footage of him today.
Walker did look good.
One thing that really stuck out, because I watched footage of Walker, and Walker just like steamrolls people. And in the things that I saw, Thibodeaux, what really stood out to me was when he was going up against a lineman who was bigger than him, he would get one hand in and then he would use his other arm to like chop their arms and like put them off balance and then whoop, go right around them. And to me, that I feel like that
Captain Long Arms.
Yeah, like I mean, it seemed like Trayvon Walker was just on just my athleticism and power. And there's maybe a question mark as to how that's going to translate to the NFL. You know, it certainly seems like he is athletic enough and powerful enough that will translate to the NFL. But I feel like there was an element of technique in Thibodeaux's game that really stood out to me in that if I'm going up against a guy who's my size, yeah, I'll plow him because I'm just that strong. But if I'm because like, you know, some of the games, some of the footage I saw, he was going up against these linemen that were like 2 of him wide. And in that case, he used his arms to get them off balance and go right around them and, you know, force a fumble, get a sack, whatever. So yeah, that would, so not really the combine. It was really more watching the footage, going to the tape. But yeah, I still am team Thibodeaux because it seems like what the Jags franchise tagged their LT today. So it really is looking like Hutch is going to be off the board. And Nico was right. Hutch is probably going to be gone. Prepare yourselves.
That's
fans,
fine.
Listeners.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Gian strong like thunder. I thought you were talking about yourself, how strong you were when you chop blocking.
No.
So Scotty, you got any thoughts about
I have lots of thoughts, but I mean, I was on the Malik Willis train at 2, but that I don't think we need that now that Aaron Rodgers is staying. Build the team right now and not worry about that and worry about that next year.
Okay.
With the quarterbacks coming out next year. I mean, I really think we need to get the best available, which is not this year. I think Malik Willis is good. He could throw a good deep ball, but to me, that's who I was watching was Malik. I've been on the Malik train. I love that he was giving his close out. His attitude, I thought that Dan Campbell and the team and leadership would love the way in which he attracts and leads people, right? Like how he's that guy. Yeah. And to me, that is something that, and he might be really, really good down the road. He might be, but we don't know. It's one of those, it's a risk, right? Like you just don't know. Yeah. You're taking a risk on that. Do we need to take a risk on that at 2? No, we need to build the team. So we need to do it the right way. And so I think that's taking Thibs or Jordan Davis. To me, those are the 2 you take. I don't think you take Walker. I think of Jordan Davis or Thibodeaux. I think you take Walker and I'd be okay with it. Really, I think in this draft, there's so much talent that's so even. Yeah. It's not like there's like to me, the unicorn from the combine was Jordan Davis. Like that was crazy to see. Big man that can move that fast, can chase down any quarterback. That is who you need now in the NFL to defend. Now, my question with Jordan Davis is his legs. Like he's a big man and he looked like he had skinnier legs. And to me, like ankles and Achilles, like a Terrell Suggs. Yeah. Terrell Suggs was like that. He was quick. He was really big up top. Yeah. And so to me, that was the biggest flag in seeing him was like, can his legs stand up to an NFL season for a couple years without a big injury? Like that to me, when you're running that fast and you're that big, if you hit something, like that is not good. So that's where I go is the potential injury for someone like a Jordan Davis, right? So to me, like of the 2, I think Thibodeaux is still the guy. I think that's who you take. I don't think it's a real question. Now, again, I don't think you go wrong with either one of those 3. Yeah. Other than that, I think that's questioning if they do take a Malik. I just don't think they do that. But
I mean, I think we talked about this earlier. Like if they took Malik, like I wouldn't hate it.
I wouldn't hate it either, but I'd be like, you're leaving stuff out there. Like to me, it's like you've left,
It would be, and we've kind of said this before. It would be the most clearest sign that like, oh, you guys really
don't like Jared Goff, right? And that would be opposite of what they said. And to date, they are kind of holding true to their word.
I mean, yeah.
So I don't see them doing it, right?
Right. I mean, again, there's all other kinds of rumors that are going out that like, Washington is out here calling every NFL team trying to see if their quarterbacks are available.
Yeah. We could trade him.
I would.
You could
for the right deal. If it includes a first round pick, I would probably deal Jared Goff.
I don't think he gets a first round pick.
That's why I said if it did though.
Sure. I'm with it.
What would you do, Migo? I'm so curious. What would you then do for a quarterback? Would you try and get like Simeon or Minshew Magic? Bring the Minshew Magic.
I would take a young guy.
He would if you had another first. If you got the first round pick,
so yeah, like Washington has like the 11th pick.
Right, you get the middle round. You probably could get Malik, or you could get.
I would take Pickett, Corral.
Yeah, I mean those guys are again similar, consistent. I would get the guy that you think is the smartest to pick up a playbook and go with it.
Yeah,
and then you have that, and then you look potentially at drafting another QB next year.
If they're terrible,
if they're horrible, you'll know.
So
I mean, because it's not like we're gonna. I mean, in my opinion, I hope we do. I hope we play spoiler to Green Bay, but I don't think we're getting. I don't think we're beating them.
Yeah,
and so to me, that's where my mentality has shifted. Now that Rodgers is staying, that's where my mentality has shifted. Right?
Sure,
I thought Rodgers was out, so like, okay, let's roll. Let's get this team as quickly as we can up to speed. To see if we can win,
if you could probably catch the Bears, the Vikings off guard,
right.
and Green Bay would be in the middle of trying to figure their stuff out. Yeah, you probably could have got ahead with taking somebody young and just trying to be dynamic.
But now I'm happy we're gonna build it the right way. They're gonna stick to. I mean, they're probably gonna do it anyway, and good on them. But if we build it the right way, right, then we have a good team for the next 10 years, hopefully. So that was my takeaway. So I think my biggest takeaway does kind of feature around Kayvon Thibodeaux. I was just as impressed with Jordan Davis, and Jordan Davis honestly is now in the conversation for me at 2. He's gotten up to the top 6 in a lot of mock drafts now.
And I do think it's because, and I know people are gonna be like, well, he's a nose tackle. He is not.
He's more than that.
Played as a nose tackle. I think there's a difference between him just being a nose tackle and then him being played as one. I think there's somebody that's going to bring him in and he's going to play all 3 downs and he's going to be disruptive. But the biggest thing that I focused on from this combine was Kayvon Thibodeaux, and was the fact that he didn't participate in all the drills after saying that he would. And I find that really interesting because we all know that was the biggest knock on him coming into the combine was there was already a lot of talk about, well, Kayvon Thibodeaux doesn't love football. He's not out here to compete. He's more focused on his brand and X, Y, and Z. And we saw that like in his press conferences, like he answered those questions. And I think he answered them really well, honestly, in defending his desire to play and talking about, the way he's come up and where he grew up and the sacrifices that he and his family have made for him to be where he's at, as well as how he talked about how he's such a student of the game mentally. So you don't do those things, in my opinion, if you're not invested. Like I said, I think a couple shows ago, you don't start having injuries and play through those if you're so self-absorbed and if you're worried about going number 1 overall. You don't do these things, in my opinion. So in looking at how this unfolded, like I deep dived into this because I think a lot of people just took it as, well, this is just evidence that he doesn't want to compete. And that feels lazy to me, in my opinion. Like it feels like you're just taking the easiest bit of bait to latch onto because it's a narrative that's already out there. So yes, this doesn't help dismiss that narrative, but I think the thing that is kind of missed in this culture is a little bit of critical thinking. Like if you do a little bit of critical thinking, I think you could get to something that's a little interesting in what I think is, I personally believe, obviously I'm not an insider, I don't have sources, but it's just analyzing the situation. I believe Kayvon Thibodeaux was told that he had done enough, that his agents had reached out to him after he ran his 40s, because if you actually go back and watch the combine.
Wait, what?
If you go back and watch the combine after he runs his 40, I think it's the person that ran after him or something, like after they finished the 40s, you can see Kayvon Thibodeaux sitting on the ground on the phone, which is something that's very normal for a lot of players, is that they get on the phone with their agents or their trainers or whatever to get advice on the rest of the day, on like how they should, whatever, like giving them advice on drills or what they may be hearing from teams, whatever it may be. So he's already on the ground on the phone. It would not, I feel like it's very plausible that he got information from his agents, whether it was before he ran the 40 or after he ran the 40. There is a team that will take you, and they don't need to see anything else from you today until your pro day.
Is that the conspiracy theory?
Is this Detective Miko? Or
So now that's part of it, right? Like I believe that he was told that, like, hey, somebody will take you,
which I could see, right? I mean,
but the problem with that is, the problem with that theory is, well, how do you guarantee that? Well, the only way you guarantee that, the only way
by not getting injured.
Well, the only way you can guarantee, the only type of team that can make that type of guarantee, in my opinion, is a team in the top 3. Because there's so many different things that can happen, like we saw last year with Micah Parsons and the Lions, right? Like the Lions told Micah Parsons, like, hey, we're going to take you at 8 or 7, I think it was. But they didn't expect Penei Sewell to drop. And when Penei Sewell dropped, plans changed.
Later.
So for Kayvon Thibodeaux to skip out on drills, he has to be very sure that, like, if I'm going to skip out on drills because there's this narrative out here that I don't like to compete, so I need to go out here and compete. But if somebody says, no, we believe you. We believe that you're a competitor. We've done our research and we know that you're the type of player that'll go out there and lay it all on the line. So what we would rather do is, we have a couple question marks that we want checked off. We want to see how strong you are. So go out here and bench press. And we just want to make sure that the speed we're seeing on tape matches, or what you can do on the 40 matches what we see on tape. Okay. Go out there and do those 2 things. If you do those 2 things and they are excellent, we don't need to see anything else from you today. We will see you at your pro day, and you can do all the other drills.
Check these 2 boxes and we're good.
Right. Because then, like, so, but like I said,
so far I'm on board.
So the only teams that can do this,
when I made him tell me,
in my opinion, the only teams that can do this though are teams in the top 3. Like, it becomes a
why else would he leave? Like, all of a sudden he was supposed to do everything and just bounce. It's like, yo, do this and this, and like, don't get hurt, and you can get out. Like, we don't, like, who cares?
Yeah, we don't want to risk.
And so can I say my part, or you?
Well, yeah, 1 sec.
Okay, good. Sorry. Let me know.
So the reason I think it has to be a top 3 team is because if you're Kayvon Thibodeaux, that is a goal. Like, you're trying to go high. You don't want to risk falling, right? Because if you don't perform, like, he's already dropped out of the top 5 in certain people's mock drafts.
You're fighting a narrative,
right. So you can't risk that fall. So you would have to be, in my opinion, secured a top 3 drafts pick. And that basically leaves you with who's at the top of the draft.
Who's at the top, John?
The Lions.
Who's at the top?
And the Texans. Now, the Jags could absolutely take him because, like you were just saying a little while ago, John, right? Kayvon's been the number 1 player. And it just recently, once the offseason started, this narrative started being spun that he doesn't work hard. So you could have a team like the Jags that's like, no, we still believe him and we're going to take him. Then there's a team like the Jags, who Kayvon talked about in interviews about how he would love to be in Lovie Smith's system. He believes he's Jadeveon Clowney 2.0, all this type of stuff. So there's a little bit of like, okay, well, it sounds like he wants to go to Houston. Could Houston have basically told him like, hey, we're taking you at 3 no matter what? Because our sources tell us that this player, obviously this was before we found out about Cam Robinson being tagged, but our sources tell us that Evan Neal's going to go 1 and that the Lions are going to take Aiden Hutchinson. So we're going to take you at 3 no matter what.
Okay.
So you would have that reassurance that like, okay, well then, yeah, I don't need to perform. But the better security would be knowing that you're going at 2. And so the one team that can do that is the team that probably has the most information on Kayvon Thibodeaux.
Which
for sure
is
the Lions. Brad
and
Holmes.
The Lions could give an F what other people think. So yeah, get out of there. Call it a day, bud.
Because we're going to take you. We know we
like. You think DC or Red Holmes are like, yeah, just do. Yeah, okay, he's good. Yeah, just hit the showers.
So
like, why do we don't need to see anymore?
And I know some people are going to be like, that doesn't make sense because Dan Campbell talks about competition and this, that, and the other. But Brad Holmes is also very big on them doing their homework. He is very astute in saying that we do as much research as we possibly can on players prior to the draft process. And maybe they don't need to see this because, again, Brad Holmes was out west in LA where he would have had ample time to scout Kayvon Thibodeaux from his freshman year and his sophomore year. And then he comes out here during Kayvon's junior year. But he just drafted Kayvon's teammate the year before. The one guy that Kayvon talks about that he's been talking to the most during this draft process.
Yeah.
He's been talking to Panay about this entire draft process. So it would just make sense that the Lions would also be talking to Panay and trying to get as much information about Kayvon. How committed is he? How hard does he work in practice? How much does he prepare for games?
What's he like in the locker room? What's he like? Right. Yeah.
All of these things. And if you are confident that he checks all the boxes for you, and Kayvon even said in his interview, he doesn't think it's a real big deal for a lot of teams. It's just a narrative that's being passed around. Well, then, hey, look, we did our interviews with you. Your character checks out. We got some resources or references that have backed up your character and your work ethic.
Yes, your references checked out.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And you are a physical specimen that we thought you would be. You're stronger than we thought you were, right. And you're faster, or you're just as fast as we thought you were.
His tape says a lot too. His tape is solid.
His tape is amazing.
His tape is solid,
and it's 3 years of it. It's consistent. I think he was probably told. I think I will go on the limb and say it's a huge hot take, but I'm going to say that the Lions told him we will take you at 2 because we believe that Aiden Hutchinson or Evan Neal is going at 1, and it doesn't matter. We're taking you at 2.
Yeah, I like it.
That's what I meant.
I like it a lot. Okay. You heard it here first, folks.
So I would not be surprised if the draft comes around, and now that we're getting even more signs that it looks like Aiden Hutchinson could probably go 1.
He's now plus 500 after the combine to go first overall.
Who is
Aiden Hutchinson?
Hutchinson, yeah.
So if he goes 1, boom, pick is easy. You're taking Kayvon Thibodeaux. Now, like I said, I think the only way that Kayvon skipped out on these drills is if he was guaranteed. Like that's the only thing that makes sense.
Who else would do that, though? To me, it's who else would do that? It feels very much like a Dan Campbell Holmes move. Like, can you do 2 things? Because and why I say that is because the combine is super uncomfortable. And what I mean is I've been there doing some of the stuff at the combine, filmed at the combine. It is so awkward. Like they're in there interviewing in this quiet room. It just feels awkward and weird. And then they're in Lucas Oil's stadium and it's dead quiet.
Yeah.
And they're running these like 40s and doing all stuff. It's dead quiet. It's so weird. It's the weirdest atmosphere ever. No tunes, no nothing.
Well, they actually had fans this year.
There was some fans. So you got a little golf clap. It was the funniest thing ever. There's like a golf clap and maybe a little like, woo. But like, to me, it's like, if I knew, you know what I mean? Like if I knew I was going to take somebody like, okay, do a couple things. Yeah. Get out of here. Well, if you don't have to hang out here, get out of here because I don't want you meeting with other teams either. Well, like, I mean, not that it mattered, but like,
well, yeah. I mean, again,
I don't want you impressing anybody else.
That's what I was like. Say. If you're a
don't want you talking to the Jags. Like, go home.
I don't want you to put any more. I don't want you to do anything that can impress the Jags. I don't want you to do anything that can impress.
To me, that is part of it, and that is a DC and Brad Holmes move. Like they're trying to do everything they can to get an edge. Even with these draft picks, I think they're still trying to get an edge, make sure they have the edge and keep the edge. Which I respect. And again, we're giving them a lot of credit. And I think we should, because I think the only thing that Holmes has done, which is questionable, was what's his face out of Denver? What's his name?
Trinity Benson.
Trinity
Beasley's.
Yeah. The most questionable things that so far that Brad Holmes has done is Trinity Benson and Levi Onwuzurike at 2. Those are probably the 2 most questionable decisions that he's had in his tenure here right now. So
We've defended Onwuzurike. I'd like that. Well,
Right.
we will see after this, and we will
really.
He's still a wait and see.
He's still wait and see.
To me, with Trinity Benson, it was like, what do you? That one was like, okay,
yeah. So that's the thing that like I'm kind of like banking on, and I would be super excited and I'd be super pumped about it. Again, it's possible that maybe the Jags are being this crafty,
right? And they're going to take him.
And they're going to take him at one.
Right.
I mean,
one thing that I like about that, and it's something
we
that you
take Aiden if he's a 2. I just am not. I don't know.
They do.
I think they will, but like I just don't know. Again, maybe it's a personal thing. I just don't. I don't know. He doesn't give me that. Okay, guy's going to change the game. He doesn't give me that. He's like he will be that cheerleader. He will be that guy for it, like that Dan Campbell could mold, but like I
trust everybody. I just trust the evaluations that certain scouts are giving him, that like it's really just that people are coming out and saying that Kayvon has a higher ceiling. And to me, like that's hard. If you're saying that right now they're level, they're even, or even that Aiden has like a slight edge, but if you told me that like no, but Kayvon has like greater upside, he has the higher ceiling, I would rather you take the higher ceiling guy and develop that guy.
Well, with our coaches, yes, I feel like we have a better opportunity of doing that. Then why doesn't he go first? I think that goes back to John's point, right? It's a narrative that was created because people got tired of saying that he was going to go 1. It was the narrative that the Lions were encouraging, so we could get.
Well, so I get like to that. This is what I was going to say. Was
our PR team is amazing.
If this is all true, this is an incredibly savvy move by Brad Holmes, and I do think I do get the impression like that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are far more media savvy than they let on. I feel like Dan Campbell loves the fact that he comes across as a meathead.
He plays so dumb, but he's.
I think that is an image that he absolutely like. Now that's him,
the dude, right?
Like
Big
that,
yeah. For sure.
He is who he is. He's the dude. But I think he loves and he absolutely plays off the fact of like he's very conscious of how that comes across. And he plays with that expectation that you have of him. And I think Brad Holmes, coming from LA, has a respect for how the media shapes these things. And I feel like, because what is everyone talking about in regards to Kayvon Thibodeaux? Are they talking about how he benched more than any other person at the combine? No, they're talking about, those character issues turn out to be true. He said he was going to do something and he didn't do it. Those character issues.
There he goes again.
Yeah, now like that's what's being talked about, is this pre-existing narrative. Like, confirmed character issues, bad work ethic. And
meanwhile, in the background, Penei Sewell's like, nah, dude, this guy's the most like
100%. So yeah, like
get him. And then I mean, think about like, look at to that point, John, and I'll let you continue, but look at what the other players that have teamed up with former teammates from college
Burrow and Chase
have done. Yeah. They just really click, and that really helps the team vibe, is what I'm seeing. And so you gotta know that Holmes and Campbell have seen that. Like, let's get well,
because you can attest that you can at least bank on they're probably cut from the same cloth.
Correct.
If they have
they were coached the same way, they were trained the same way, they are on the same page, and you're getting people on both sides of the ball now on the same page too, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I love that you have like the Okwara brothers and then Sewell and Thibodeaux, and like it just
the Wings have the Smith brothers too.
What's that?
The Wings have the Smith brothers.
Oh, I don't know.
They're brothers, obviously. Little brothers on the Griffins that are coming up. They're the first 2 brothers to play together, I think, in like a couple decades. A long time. Okay. Yeah, it was crazy.
But no,
and they're both white.
I was actually gonna say, like, when you said they're brothers, I was like, and they're happy and they're single and they're colored. Bros theme song. I don't know if they're single though. But no, like that I do. I think that would be an awesome get for the Lions because, yeah, I think they do have that level of insight to be able to like, well, no, maybe they are cut from the same cloth. And I do. I think as fans, we have also bought into this narrative that Dan projects about knee biters and gritty guys and things like that. But then you also got to remember they drafted Aleem McNeil. Aleem is very quiet, but he's a monster on the field. But he's in interviews and stuff like that. Like he's not Penei, right? Like Penei and Amon-Ra are like, yeah, like those are the examples that fans point to. We're like, oh no, those are Dan Campbell guys. They're gritty, they're tough,
right?
But Aleem went out here and had an amazing season, right? Melifonwu is like super reserved, quiet, but he goes out there and he does his job,
right?
Kayvon Thibodeaux doesn't have to be this like dude that you feel like is going to go wrestle bears in the woods. Like he doesn't have to be that guy.
No,
just because Aiden Hutchinson projects that and you feel like, oh no, that's a dude. Doesn't mean that Kayvon isn't.
But here's the problem: is you can't have that many dudes in the room. Like Dan Campbell's the dude. He's the guy, and we don't need another guy, right? It's like in the movie Transformers. Like, well, I'm gonna ask you, I'm a knee biter, whatever. Like, well, we have one of those. You're gonna work in the mailroom.
Yeah,
remember where he's like, well, but
I think you look at how you want that defense, and I'm not saying that. I think Aiden would be just as good here. So I'm not sitting here saying that I don't want him. Right. If Kayvon went 1 and Aiden was there, then take him. Right. I would be just as happy with Trayvon Walker or Jordan Davis as well. But like, I would not all of a sudden be like, oh, we have Aiden Hutchinson. Not gonna be mad about it. I think the dude is legit. I just love the potential of the upside of Kayvon Thibodeaux. I do. And I think he's every bit the culture fit. Like, I mean, I sent you guys some of the clips of his interviews. Like, he's smart, he's articulate. I believe him when he says he's a student of the game. Like when he talked about how he sets up moves throughout the course of the game, like, and you see it on tape. You see it.
That's what I was talking about with his arms. Like that's like I'm gonna go here so that you take I'm gonna put my arm in your chest so that you put your arms there, and then as soon as you do, I'm gonna chop them and go and yeah.
And so and again, I know some people are also clinging to the fact that the Lions came out and said that they're going to like be moving to a 4-3, right?
Right.
But they've also come out and said like, but we're still going to use other elements. Like that may be our base. So basically what you're saying is that, well, hey, we'll probably put Kayvon's hand in the dirt a good amount of the time. But when we decide or we have a matchup where we need him to stand up, we trust him to do that because we've seen him do that. That's something else that, again, that doesn't get talked about enough. And it probably, again, Kayvon skipping out on drills didn't help this, but it wasn't talked about enough. Kayvon drops in coverage better than Aiden does.
Oh, really?
It looks more natural to him because he's not as big, right? Aiden Hutchinson is an inch taller and like 20 pounds heavier.
Okay.
Right? It looks a little different, but like Kayvon Thibodeaux, I think, to me, has that ability to be versatile in the way that the Lions would want him to be versatile. I think Hutchinson could be just as versatile. I just think in a different way. I think if he came to the Lions, you would see him rush on the edge with his hand in the dirt, and then they would probably kick him inside, kind of like what the Texans did with J.J. Watt for a number of years, where he constantly just like bounced back and forth between like rushing inside and then being outside. And again, like I wouldn't hate it if that was the pick either way, because I still think you're getting a versatile pass rusher.
Yeah. So kind of to that, I want to bounce back to the point about getting teammates. And I love the idea. And I think we've seen the chemistry. We've seen how it impacts a team in an incredibly positive way. To that, I want to move on because there's another potential teammate situation if they're available at 32 with Drake London. If he's available, is it, like knowing if we can get the Thibodeaux Sewell connection and the Amon-Ra St. Brown Drake London connection, my goodness.
Moist.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Instant waterworks.
Yeah. So is he then now our number one wide receiver. I mean, again,
Who?
if he's on the board, like if he's available, like again, like this is a whole like Micah Parsons situation. Like if Drake London is there at 32.
If he is,
do you think he is there at 32?
I have no idea. That you, Miko, you sent that mock draft, and there were so many offensive linemen going in the top 10.
Yeah.
And I think that was that was a dream. You know, that draft had us taking Malik Willis at 2, which, you know, again, we've discussed enough on this show. One thing that I loved about that mock was how many offensive linemen went in the top 10.
Sure,
that just means all those wide receivers get pushed back.
Well, and so one other thing that did come out of the combine is that these wide receivers tested out of this world.
Is a fantastic wide receiver class.
Yes, athletically.
I wouldn't be shocked if we take one wide receiver to 32, take another, maybe another tackle
in every mock draft that I've ran, I've taken 2 receivers.
And then take another receiver. I don't know.
Safety though. What about, okay.
So, well, in my mind, in a wishful thinking mind, right? Like in a wishful thinking world, the Lions re-signed Tracy Walker and they also signed Trayvon or Quandre Diggs. And then we're set at
hey,
like that's the world that I live in.
So that too, or Bobby Wagner too. There was that. Bobby Wagner's a free agent.
That would be a nice pickup
from Seattle, linebacker.
But
yeah, he's a veteran
for us.
He's a badass veteran. He's from the Legion of Boom.
Yeah, so
right. He's like the last guy.
He would definitely. I think he would fit in the culture wise. But to answer John's question about do I think I think Drake London would be available at 32? I do think it's a possibility. And again, this is where Drake London not being able to test because of injury kind of could work in the Lions' favor. I don't even want to say work against Drake London because I think him coming to Detroit would be amazing for him. It could work in the Lions' favor because these guys tested out of this world.
Yeah.
Right? In my mind, Chris Olave re-established himself as wide receiver 1. He was wide receiver 1 before, like when the college season was going.
Right.
And then to your point about in a very similar way as Kayvon Thibodeaux somehow fell out of favor with people. I don't know why, but he did. And then he went to the combine and ran in the 4.3s once like they got the official times and stuff. And then looked smooth, looked crisp. Like him and Garrett Wilson are 2 wide receivers that you can pretty much guarantee are going in the first round.
Yeah.
Then you have guys
they have to
like Traylon Burke. Traylon Burke's going to go in the first round, right? Then it does become a question of, okay, what does Drake London do at his pro day? Because now like everybody else has ran. Everybody else put up these ridiculous times. So there's a lot of pressure on Drake London to go out there and he's going to have to run like in the 4.4 or 4.5s. And if he doesn't,
his guys will
make
it happen. Like, come on, like that's why I'm doing a pro day. Like, yo, man, right? Like, they're
going to be a little quick on that stopwatch.
Right. Yeah,
teams will be clocking as well. But yeah, it's a possible.
But still, the guys are really not going to sit. Some of them will clock, some of them won't.
Oh, if you're really curious on his time, because like I said, these receivers ran crazy times. You better clock them yourself because
right.
There's absolutely gonna be a quick finger on like if you're depending it on like the team on the players university to clock it well. But
right, that was we were off by a second and a half.
Right. So I do think it's a possibility because I do think there were other guys that could potentially jump Drake London. Jahan Dotson looked really well. Sky Moore got a lot of,
love that name, Sky Moore.
It's actually a really good name. But he got a lot of hype and he's a smaller
you
guy.
Got Moss, you got Sky Moored.
But
got skied.
He's a smaller guy.
It'd be sweet. We could do great shirts for him.
I love how Sky Moore. He just goes up like whatever thought enters his head.
Right.
Just it doesn't matter.
And then we wonder why the shows are so long.
Sky Moore. Come on. The amount of clouds we could put on a t-shirt.
Sorry. Anyways, to answer your question, John, like I think it is a possibility, right? I think there's a number of guys that are going to climb up. I think a guy like Sky Moore could because everybody's looking for the next Tyreek Hill, and Sky Moore is kind of in that mold, right? Christian Watson is another guy that really performed well, a wide receiver out of North Dakota State who showed out really well at the Senior Bowl and then ran ridiculously, and he's 6'4", a good size receiver. So even if they can't get Drake London, I still think there's great talent. Like I said, Christian Watson would be a great pickup for them. George Pickens out of Georgia would be an awesome pickup for them. David Bell ran a little slower than I think most people thought he would, but I still think he would be a solid pickup. He ran like a 4.6, and a lot of people were pointing out like, well, Cooper Kupp ran a 4.6. So there's enough wide receiver talent where yes, somebody may reach on somebody and Drake London may fall if people aren't sure. And then you still have Jamison Williams from Alabama, who also like Jamison Williams will not play until like November, December of next year of the football season. So how far does he fall when teams know that they're not going to be able to play him? Does that push a guy like Drake London down? So yeah. I love the idea of getting Drake London because I think him and Amon-Ra, obviously they have the history of playing together, and I think they would complement each other well. And with the signing of Josh Reynolds, who is kind of like your speedy threat, kind of like, then you're set. You have a guy that's 6'3", you have a guy that's 6'5", and then you have Amon-Ra that's like 5'11", 6 feet that can work the slot.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, it certainly seems like then this big question mark around receiver. Do you think that'd be enough, or do you think? I mean, obviously, Antoine Randall-L's comments, he would like to see us then also sign one.
Sure, I mean, you could go out there and sign somebody. I mean, that on a prove it type deal, or you can go out there and get DJ Chark if you have questions about like if you still want some more size. I mean, again, I think we forget that Quintez Cephas will be coming back.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And Cephas played really well last year before he broke his collarbone. Brad Holmes had came out during his like offseason press conference in talking about Trinity Benson, and they feel like they still have faith in Trinity Benson. They feel like there's something still there. So again, does Trinity Benson take a leap forward? There's a lot of possibilities. And then you also got to look at undrafted free agents, right? Does somebody slip through the cracks that you just that wasn't high enough on your board to draft?
Right. We get another.
Yeah. And
Amon-Ra.
And they show out. So I expect them to address wide receiver early. Do you guys like? I think as early as 32.
I think they're. I think they're 32 wide receiver.
I think it's gonna like 32, 34 is either gonna be wide receiver and then safety, or safety and then wide receiver.
Agreed.
I agree. Same.
So I think it's Thibs and then dealer's choice, whoever like best player available.
As long as it's not Jahan Dotson. And that's only because like I feel like then you're just getting another version of Amon-Ra, but not maybe the same.
I think they know better than that. I agree. I think
yeah, I think they know what they need. I mean, I'm not saying that you don't take another shifty guy that can probably
play
the slot,
but I think that's what
32.
that's what a Christian Kirk is if they sign him, right? Like that, the guys, right? So like we talked about real quick, those that are available are, who do we say? It was Allen Robinson, which is in my opinion, like a similar to a Kenny Golladay style.
I feel like
he's a little bit.
I think he's probably going to be a little more expensive than they thought, because now that Mike Williams has got $20 million.
Yeah, which we don't. Allen Robinson, what has he really done? He can't really separate. So, Christian Kirk, DJ Chark, or Amari Cooper. DJ Chark, like, he's talented. I'd be curious how he would do.
DJ Chark would be would be similar to the picks, the signings that you made last year, where you're like, all right, we want to kick the tires and see if he can kind of, rise above what he's been so far.
Well, like if he could be a Reynolds, maybe that would be right. I mean, you would hope for that at least.
I have a little confession here. Every time you've been saying Christian Kirk, I'm so glad I didn't say anything, because I kept.
Now you're going to tell us.
I kept wanting to say he's suspended next season, but
you're thinking about Calvin Ridley.
I was thinking the whole time. I was thinking every time I heard Christian Kirk, I was thinking Calvin Ridley.
Ridley, but they still franchise tagged him.
Oh, really?
Who?
What's that?
Franchise tagged
Falcons?
Calvin Ridley wasn't a free agent.
Oh, no, Godwin. Sorry.
Yeah.
See, here we go. Here we go. Christian Kirk.
It's time to wrap it up.
Godwin.
That's
we're all twisted, turned around.
Wow. Love that.
Time to wrap it up.
Sky.
Yeah. One last thing that I'll say on the combine, though, from a locals perspective, again, because we always do try to talk the local teams and the local guys. I feel like the Michigan State guys showed out really well.
They did. I mean, we could take a running back. That'd be rogue. I don't think we need it, but they could go Kenneth Walker. I wouldn't hate it.
I would love it.
Kenneth Walker is the man.
But
I would like Kenneth Walker. That'd be pretty nice.
I mean, I don't think they will.
No, but I mean, again, the MSU guys tested really well. Connor Hayward looked really good for an undersized tight end / fullback.
He did.
Jalen Naylor would be a really solid, if we're talking like getting another late round wide receiver. Jalen Naylor ran really well. 4'4" guy, 6 feet, deep threat would be really good with the Lions, I think. And then obviously, we all just said that we would secretly love Kenneth Walker. We don't think
not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen, but it would be nice.
Would be sweet.
And the other Michigan guys tested well too. David Ojabo looked really good. Like he's going top 10.
Yeah, that mock you sent had him going like at 8.
Yeah,
David Ojabo. Yeah, he's going to go really well. Daxton Hill tested really well as the safety out of Michigan. So that's another, if to John's point, if the Lions are looking safety in the first or second round at 32 or 34, they could possibly pick up Daxton Hill. He's been getting a lot of attention. He can play safety and nickel. So, yeah, a lot of good testing stuff came out of the local guys as well. Sauce Gardner, who is, I guess, originally from Detroit, also was like the talk of the town.
Great name. Again, great name.
Yeah.
T-shirt city here. Sauce Gardner.
That is an amazing nickname.
Like, is it a nickname?
Yeah. His real name is Ahmad.
Ahmad Gardner?
Yeah.
So Sauce is his nickname?
Yeah.
We have to take him. I just purely
forget all the
based
needs.
On names. What if you did? You'd have the
if you just take games with guys with the
best names.
Sauce Gardner, Sky Moore.
I mean, Kayvon Thibodeaux is.
That's another one.
It is nice.
I mean, that's a great. Oh, do we know what his middle name is?
I have no idea. Jalen Naylor's nickname is Speedy, so you get Speedy.
Speedy Naylor. That's a.
If we should do like a.
We should do a draft just based on names.
I could put together like a mock draft where it's just
the best names.
Best off of best names.
Purely drafted purely on the best, most unique names.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we should do that.
I'm gonna do that tonight. I'm gonna have so much fun with that. I'm gonna post it. It's gonna be hilarious. All right, we do gotta wrap up.
Unless John's looking, he's trying to confirm. What's the middle name?
Oh, you
Aloysius. Kayvon Aloysius.
No, it's not. Okay,
no,
first of all.
No, it is not.
Aloysius. Oh, black people.
No, I wish.
Aloysius.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Wait, what is it?
It's not real.
It's not real.
Man, if that was
John,
I was gonna be like, black people, we gotta do better.
We got worked on that one, Miko.
Oh man,
we got worked on that one. I have to admit.
Listen, I believe it because
you did.
I was like,
I'm of
the
really?
culture, and I have seen some names out here, man.
Okay, so I've been a little distracted the last 10 minutes. I mean, they're talking about all of this. We have Adam Schefter actually reporting now after he didn't say anything all day today. So I'm curious as to what he's saying. But anyway,
that's
go ahead.
More reason for us to get out of here. So
yeah. So anyway, thanks for tuning in this week. Please follow, like, and subscribe to the Questionable Podcast. We are also on YouTube now, so please subscribe to that. We're trying to grow that channel, and we are really excited to do more video. Also, I'm going to see Mac tomorrow. I'm dropping off some shirts for him. I'm going to show him the sneak peek of the new artwork for the Fight Night at the Joe. Gian and Miko saw it for the first time last night. We got there. It's coming to life. So we're going to order those pieces. We're going to start assembling those pieces, and really pumped to start showing those the next couple of weeks. So, but anyway, I want to thank my wife, my daughter, the crew for all the support. I want to thank you guys for all the support too. Miko?
Yeah, definitely got to thank my wife, my girls, my family, for their support and their love. And yeah, thanking you guys just for, hanging out and partaking in the shenanigans.
And giving things to debate about. Gian?
Oh yeah, I feel like I haven't been around for one of these in a long time. So yeah, I would like to. I've had so many.
You have too many dinners.
Cut him off like mid, like not even giving the opportunity.
Cut my, no, on this most international. On this most international of Women's Day, I would like to thank my wife, and let's keep it female. Let's go with I would like to thank my mom as well, and my sister.
Yeah, don't forget your sister, right?
She was just in town here visiting.
Oh, that's right. Kate, what's happening? Also want to give a shout out to my sister, Lauren Valley. She was
friend of the show.
Sent in some notes. She had a little. We might have to play it next week. She had a little, opinion. Actually, I'll just plug it real quick right now. She was saying, if you're gonna, what did she say, Miko? If you're gonna get
the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Thank you, John. Thank you,
fries
John.
are good. Pickles are good. A cheeseburger is good. But you put the pickles on the cheeseburger and have fries in between each bite. It's the best. So that's why you go with culture fit over potentially the more elite athlete.
Anyway, it was a good take by my
sister. Said all of this while running 12 miles, by the way. And she was just talking like I am now.
I made up 12. I don't know how many miles she was running, but it probably was 12. Yeah.
It made me it was enough to make me not feel good about myself.
It was a 2-minute voicemail while running. So she had to, that's a great lung capacity, sis. Anyways, shout out to that. Thanks for the support. All right. Again, please don't forget to follow, and subscribe. The Questionable Podcast. We're out.